Hey, good morning. It's Brian of London here in another park. I just think it's prettier than my office, to be honest, and it's almost as quiet because the Israelis are shouting in the office. That's what they do. Israelis shout. All right, today, the truth about Ezra Levant, the rebel, and supporting Tommy. And I mean, I say that ominously and I give a clickbait title, but the top of the thing is Ezra's an absolute mensch, I'm so grateful for what he's doing for Tommy and for everything he's done up to now. Okay, I'll give you a bit of the backstory. So I first became aware of Ezra Levant back in, I must have been 05 or 06, because I used to do a podcast called Shire Network News, and it was a collaborative podcast with a bunch of people. It was started by a chap in Australia, whose name I don't think I can even mention because he got into so much trouble for this, but he started the show Shire Network News, and we used to do a satirical weekly podcast about Islam and about the culture wars in the West. And this was way back before any of you had heard of podcasts, 2005, 6, 7. We had Ezra Levant on that show a few times as a guest because Ezra Levant in Canada was busy fighting something called the Human Rights Tribunals that they'd set up in Canada. And these were a complete travesty. They were basically, this is over a decade ago, but just so, if you think that all of this stuff with prosecuting Damore at Google and persecuting, or the Lindsay girl in Canada at the university, if you think that stuff's new, it's not. It's been going on a lot longer than you think. And Ezra Levant was actually legally fighting this. He was also, I think, at the same time, Mark Steyn was fighting legal cases. Lindsay Shepherd, thank you. At the same time, Mark Steyn was fighting legal cases with a magazine called Maclean's. He had written in that, and that was sued. And it's all Islamophobia stuff. It was the real kickoff of them flexing their muscles. And Ezra Levant was one of the people who was being sued, and he was a lawyer, and he was defending himself, and he was raising money to do that. It was sort of almost before the existence of crowdfunding in its current state, but he did good stuff. Then he and a bunch of others went to something called Sun TV in Canada. Forgive me if I get all the details a little bit wrong. Sorry, Ezra. Just like, I'm probably a better subject matter expert on Tommy's book, Enemy of the State, than I am on your history. But I just want to give people a third-party view. Sun TV was also excellent, and it was a proper set up, obviously as a proper TV station, but it you could see from the production and the way it was done, it was done old school and expensive, and went on for quite a while, produced some great shows. I remember, and there's tons of YouTube clips of Sun TV, but eventually it collapsed. But all the way through it, Ezra had been fighting this fight of truth, of being able to talk honestly about Islam, of corrupt politicians, of far left ideology infecting everything, cultural Marxism. He's been on the right side always. And he set up Rebel, and Rebel TV has amassed over the years that it's been going, it's not all that many years, but it's produced some amazing talent. People have come out of it. So they've gone in, produced amazing videos with his support, with his legal help, with backing, because it's okay, I'm just a guy talking to a periscope. I don't have expensive equipment. I don't do fancy post-production. I can produce much better videos, but it turns out doesn't seem to be worth it. I don't get more views or anything, and frankly, I don't have the time. I've got other things to do. But Ezra's Rebel does do that. It does post-production on all the videos. This is big stuff. So, as far as I know, what actually happened between how Tommy came to Rebel, one of the things that helped was when Tommy was in Israel in November of 2016, he did an interview with one of Ezra's people, who's largely a backroom person, but produces the videos. He did that video while sitting in Kay's garden in Arad, and it was like all of Tommy's interviews. It was a great interview, and that was November 2016. It was then that Tommy went back to the UK and started making a bit more noise. And pretty quickly he started doing the videos and stuff. I think met Kaylin and George, and the timeline's not so important, but Ezra obviously spotted that this guy was worth backing, and he backed him hard, and he put money into helping produce a lot of videos that were very, very well done. He did all of those campaigns in the UK. Now, I don't really, the sort of split up that happened with Kaylin and George, it's water under the bridge. I just want to say something. Look, I run a business in Israel. I've run businesses in the UK and in America. In fact, I still do. Running a business is actually hard. Just the mechanics of all of it. Just the accountants and lawyers and all of that crap. And I deeply admire what Ezra is doing with Rebel. Now, he's using a paywall for some of it, and he's okay. I've paid for that, by the way. I watch some of their content. I love John Cardillo's shows, for example, and I watch quite a bit of the rest of the content on Ezra, on Rebel. I think sometimes employees, and especially when you're dealing with talented employees, people who are somewhat prima donna-ish, not to be, and that's not in a nasty way, it's just like performers, it's just a class of person. They probably underestimate what it takes to keep a corporation going behind the scenes. The money, the fundraising, the extra fundraising, not just subscriptions are probably not enough, all of this stuff. And so, personally, I think that that's a fantastic thing. I think providing backup, providing legal help, all of that stuff matters tremendously. You can make these videos, but we're in actually a difficult and dangerous world. And you put videos out there. Every time you do that, every word that you say could expose you to legal jeopardy. I mean, it's less so in America, where you've got your fantastic First Amendment. It's much more so in the UK and Canada, I suspect, because there are all sorts of people who can just pop up, file a lawsuit against you, and suddenly you're looking at a £10,000 bill just to defend yourself, just to say that lawsuit is frivolous. So when Ezra now comes up, and I think this happened actually, I think I made my video on Friday morning in the park, put it out on Periscope, and then I re-uploaded it to YouTube. And just after I re-uploaded it to YouTube, I saw Ezra's video saying that he was now helping with the crowdfunding for Tommy. That is a fantastic thing. Ezra is a mensch for doing this. He says 100% of the money he raises on that crowdfund will go straight to Tommy. It's a legal fund. Any leftover will go to his family. You cannot say fairer than that. I would say if you give money to Tommy, consider taking out a Rebel TV subscription as well. Just throw a bit in the pot for Ezra for doing this, because just don't. It's funny also. So someone sent me some questions that had been sent to him by the Sunday Times, because they wrote a hit piece on Tommy, and the questions, if you read between the lines of the questions, what this journalist is trying to find out is who's the big sugar daddy that's funding the right? Where's the billionaire that pays for all of this light right, whatever we are, that we're not the alt-right or the far right? Who's paying for it all? And the honest truth is, if there is someone paying for it all, I haven't met them yet, because I haven't had pots of money. As you can tell by my crooked teeth, you see. I can't afford to fix my teeth. More on that later. Those are the questions that this journalist was facing. And Ezra's one of the guys who's got a business going that's trying to help fund some of this stuff. He's making great videos, getting great stories that the mainstream press with all of their millions and billions don't want to do. So instead, this Sunday Times journalist is being paid to try and dig any kind of shit they can on Tommy that hasn't already been dug, and trying to find some shadowy, racist, white, supremacist billionaire that's funding all this crap. As far as I know, there isn't one. There are some good people on the right who spend quite a bit of money and throw money people doing good work. But I really think that the right, as opposed to the left, the right is funded by a large number of small donors, of people out there putting money in people's Patreons and giving small donations to Tommy, $200, $300. It's not a lot. It's not small amounts for most people. But there just isn't this blank checkbook that I can see. I can see it from the grant applications that the left write to the Open Society and the Ford Foundation and all of these unbelievably wealthy things like the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center. It's got billions of dollars on deposit. It has hundreds of thousands. It has millions of dollars in income, and thankfully, Majid managed to squeeze $3.7 million out of them yesterday. But it's a drop in the ocean to them. They won't feel financial pain from that. They'll just raise it from more stupid. We'll just have to block the Heil Hitlers. From more stupid people who will give them money because once upon a time they did some good work. No, Ezra's doing great stuff. I support his business. I think we have to have things like that, and we want them to succeed. We really do, because the corrupt mainstream media with their vast, and they do have vast turnovers and cash flows, they are not likely to get it to work. So Ezra came out supporting Tommy. He's done some great shows. I watched his show last night. He also read the prison letter. I like Ezra. There you go. I think he's coming to Israel again soon. They were here a couple of years ago and I said hello. Hopefully I'll meet up with them all again. If you want to support Tommy, you can do it also via tommyrobinson.online, and I believe that that's being run directly by his family now, and I know some of the people working on the website there. But Ezra, you can trust as far. I'll trust him to the end. If he says he's raising money, 100% goes to Tommy's legal fund. You can bet any money you like that that's the absolute truth, and Tommy is greatly aided by having him in the camp. Also, Raheem seems to be working hard for Tommy as well, which is fantastic. I mean, it's like, not that, okay, the only people who are obsessed with race are racists, but you've got Raheem Kassam, who's ex-Muslim or Muslim from a Muslim family, who's the #1 face on YouTube doing pro-Tommy stuff. It's like, how do you work out that Tommy is a hate-filled racist when those are the conditions? Oh yeah, I said I'd mention my teeth. So, I get all these comments about crooked teeth. Yes, I have crooked lower teeth. All my life. Never got them fixed as a child. I think there were other priorities when I was growing up, like, paying for a private education. Thank you. So, I'm not too bothered. But if you are really bothered by my crooked teeth, I have a Patreon now. Go find Patreon Brian of London, and you can pay me enough money and I'll go to a dentist and ask how much it costs to fix my teeth. All right, love you all, and I'll be putting this on YouTube. Thank you for watching here on Periscope.